Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome. I am Trauma Addiction Recovery Coach Sonia, and I want to welcome you all today to She's Taking Her Life Back, a Women's Word Talk Show. And on this February month, we got our new topic for the month, which is Cupid's Chronicles, February's Trauma
Yeah.
Informed Chats, Loving Me, Loving Him, and Loving Friends. And I am thrilled to share with you that tonight we will be discussing the importance of self trust and the and self-trust being the foundation to healthy relationships. So before I dip into our topic of tonight, which we're going to be sharing a lot, I will be telling you a little bit about that in a minute. Let me just introduce myself real quick. I am trauma addiction recovery coach Sonia, and I specialize in guiding women who already have learned to cope with past traumas that led them to use substances, um, addictive habits like eating disorder, shopping, or even toxic relationships. My role goes beyond traditional coaching. I provide support to those who have been triggered and are faced with possible setbacks or obstacles that may cause them to approach old unhealthy ways to cope. I am collaborating. I am a collaborating process. I focus on helping women, particularly who might encounter triggers igniting a trauma response during their ongoing journey. My approach is rooted in realistic and practical guidance. Rather than treating addiction directly, I assist in preventing relapses or setbacks by addressing the challenges that may emerge during the pursuit of your goals. So, life's journey can be complex, and even moving forward can trigger responses from the past. In this moment, I work closely with women offering support to prevent restoring the old coping mechanisms like substance use, overeating, impulsive behaviors. By navigating these challenges together, we ensure a more resilient and fulfilling journey towards sustaining your journey of trauma heal. I draw and inspire my own traumas and personal journey. I have overcome various traumas. I have gone through therapy. I have done the work of healing. I still, my recovery is for life. I want y'all to understand that. And I still continue to educate myself. So whenever a situation resurfaces, I can have the coping skills and the tools that I need, and always making sure I have my support network to avoid any obstacles that may arise. Other than that, I want to send it back to our trauma mindset coach, Natalie.
Woo, that was a lot, Coach Sonia. Woo, whoever hires you as the coach is gonna get a lot. That's awesome, particularly for women who have history of substance use. Because we know even in reaching our goals, it can be triggered, and for some people, that can send them back to a relapse. So yes, I'm so excited to have you on the team, and thank you for sharing clearly what you offer. Um, Hi, beautiful souls. I am Natalie Manning, and I'm the CEO and founder of She's Taking Her Life Back. And I am a dedicated trauma mindset coach as well. My mission is to support women who experience trauma by helping them break free from their self limited beliefs, self sabotaging behaviors, and unhealthy relationship patterns. And I want to help them discover their unfulfilled purpose in the next stage of their lives. Along with being a trauma mindset coach, I come with also 32 years as a professional counselor who specialized in addictions. That was my first love. Of course, that's why I definitely want a trauma addiction recovery coach on our team. As well as that, I'm certified in anger management, and coupled with my extensive trainings about trauma, I decided one day I wanted to transition out of counseling and into the world of trauma recovery full time. So I bring a wealth of knowledge to our discussions. And I'm just so grateful for not only professionally, but personally, I've tried over my own substance use history. And it's been 35 years since I've used last. So that together, I believe, makes us have great insights. Not just me, Sonia brings things to the table professionally and personally as well. So together, we want to foster this environment of open and honest conversation as we embark on the journey of growth. healing and transformation, you know. And just in a nutshell, you know, ladies, I just want you just to think about, you know, and this is what propelled me to found She's Taking a Life Back, is because after having been past all of those traumatic situations, I sat back and I looked at my life. And even though I loved my counseling career, but I kept seeing this feeling inside of me kept saying there is more to your life than what you're seeing in front of you. But even as I got to that place where I said, you know what, now I'm ready to start that journey of what's next for me, I kept bumping into roadblocks. Those roadblocks I began to understand was based on some healing that I needed to still do, because even going to my next, even for you going to your next, it's going to trigger messages like you're not good enough. They're not going to accept you there. So all of that needs to be transformed. So as a trauma mindset coach, that's what I offer clients, to help them transform their thinking. And at the same time, you know, those who see Coach Sonia, she would help them if they're triggered to the point where they don't have healthy coping skills and they start thinking about they're always a coping. She's there to help them. So I'm excited about that. But right now, I have a special announcement for you. Um, I want you to know, you know, and this is coming from Coach Sonia, because you know we're always brainstorming to bring you new things, new products, new services to better help you. So Sonia came up with this wonderful idea, and we want to offer you this. It is a freebie alert. And we're announcing this at the beginning of the show because there's some things that you need to do, and I'm about to share right now. We want to reward you for your participation in this 4-part Cupid's Chronicles series in this month of February. You know, like Sonia said, we're going to talk about, you know, trauma-informed conversations around loving ourselves, loving him, loving friends. And that's what we're going to talk about in February, because we know this is the month of Valentine's Day. You know, so this is how you join. We want you to join us for 3 consecutive lives. We also want you to dive into the Q&A segment. You got to ask some questions, you know, give us some answers to the questions that we will ask, and we want you to participate. And we also want you to invite a friend to our channel and have them subscribe. You know, so as a token of our appreciation of you taking those steps, we're going to gift you with a free worksheet of your choice from our past lives. Because it's not just about getting freebies, really. You know, it's you actively helping other people discover valuable content along with yourself. Plus, imagine the knowledge boost with your chosen worksheet. So, ready for some fun, enhancing skills, and learning experience? Join us. And I'm going to take a moment before I send it back over to Sonia to give you a picture of what they look like. I said, let me bring it on screen. I want you ladies to see, if you haven't seen. And it's just going to be the cover, because you got to purchase this in order to receive it. Give me a second. Here you go. Let me present it. Here you go, the slides. Here you go. And here's the offer. So here we have a choice between either a worksheet that Sonia created from her past life, which is about navigating challenges and overcoming obstacles as you're moving to what's next in your life, or you can get the workbook from this current series. And this is our Valentine's series. This is our Chronicle Chat series. You will get this workbook, and it has a lot of things for you to dive into, to help you to learn to love yourself, to help you to learn him, help you develop friendships that are healthy and support you in moving to what's next in your life. So I just want to give you an idea. And if you want to further look at this, it's on our Facebook channel. It's also in our Learning Lounge group. And if you want to join that, just click the link on the banner on this YouTube channel, and Sonia will let you in. All right. So with that, I am going to turn it back over to Sonia.
Hello again. So let me dive into this topic. Like I said, I'm thrilled to embark on this journey with you. So today we're diving on our first episode from our 4-part series, which is Self Trust, the foundation to healthy relationships. And I want you all to, I want to share with you why trust can be difficult if you have experienced trauma, abuse in the past, or a family history of addiction, mental illness. It's like you might have a trust radar, a radar. Okay, so it maximize your self trust because you're always on that protective mode for yourself. So having a high tuned trust radar will protect you from harm, but as an adult, it can prevent you from growing
Yes.
and from experiences all that life has for you. High trust walls can rob you from a healthy relationship and other opportunities to build new strength as well. So it is part of our recovery journey and our healing journey to learn to trust oneself and others to be able to build that healthy relationship. So in tonight's live, I will be sharing with you how past traumas can affect us even on or through our healing journey, understanding the impact of past traumas. I'm going to be sharing facts and examples, and I will also be providing strategies and coping skills. So stay tuned. Do not move out of your seat. Do not go nowhere because we have so much we want to share with you tonight. And remember also that you know having the negative thoughts that past trauma can leave on us, because even if we go to therapy and we go to counseling, all that helps us heal from our past traumas, but that doesn't mean that it's not going to resurface. We might be
Yes.
in a situation with you're with your partner and he might tell you, hey, it's football night, I'm going out with a friend, and then you get that past. It's just something, how we feel, Natalie, sometimes that little tingly, like you've been there before. I've
Hmm.
been there before, and you get that past out of that traumatic experience you've had in the past, where somebody said that and walked out the door and never came back, or a situation where something bad emerged out of that person going out and you staying home. So this can lower our self-esteem and make us doubt our worth as well. So it causes mistrust. Trauma can shatter our trust in ourselves, others, and the world around us. It becomes difficult to feel safe and believe we deserve positive experiences. So let's dive into tonight. So let's talk a little bit about the aftermath of trauma. Okay, so rebuilding trust becomes a profound challenge, especially for women who navigate through past wounds. Today, we'll explore the interact connections between past trauma, self trust, and the influence on future relationships, even after moving forward. So, we're talking about we went to therapy, we went to counseling. So, even
Hmm.
moving forward, you might be good for a few months, maybe a year, but we never know when the past traumas may resurface. So, we want to equip you and prepare you for when that moment arises, how to deal with that situation.
Yes.
Okay, so trust is fundamental aspect to build healthy relationships. And when trust is compromised due to past, I want to speak real quick about abandonment experience. Like mostly as a child, it can impact one's ability to trust others. Women with abandonment issues, and this I do my research. Women that have abandonment issues as a child, parent walking out your life, you know, it leaves us. We lose that self trust. We do, and it's like the parents will not leave or reject them, leading to behaviors such as jealousy, clinginess, or constant reassurance seeking. Those are one of the traumas responses that it leaves us when somebody walks as a child and you have that apparent leaving your house and that abandonment feeling. Those are some of the negative behaviors that we may pick up, which is jealousy, and not only jealousy but the mistrust, the thinking all the time, being in the alert mode, the cleanliness. Sometimes we find a relationship and we just want to be clingy. We don't want him to go out without us. We just want to be with him 24/7. We don't want him to go get a job. I'll get the money. I'll
Hmm.
because we're
Hmm.
afraid that if
Yeah.
he walks out the door, he won't come back. And also constant reassurance seeking, like we always seeking for them to tell us that we're doing good, that we're great, that everything We're seeking that reassurance because we feel like if I'm do something wrong, he might leave. This person might walk out the door. So those are some of the situations that we may encounter. And healing from abandonment and trust issues often involves exploring and addressing the underlying causes, which when we go to therapy, we do the healing and everything. But we have to develop self-awareness and gradually and building trust through healthy communication, because consistency and emotional support is very important to build that trust foundation. So if you have been in therapy or counseling but are still having issues navigating this complex emotions and patterns, well, let me tell you, these behaviors, just remember that you don't have to do this alone. Our team of coaches offer a safe and supportive environment. We are here to help you, coach you, and guide you, so you are not alone. You don't have to do it alone. So now I want to move, Natalie, into our phase of understanding the impact. I want our viewers and our women out there that have experienced past trauma to understand the impact. So let's dive into this deep conversation on how
Right.
past traumas can linger, affecting self trust and sequentially influencing our approach to future relationships.
Woo.
So, let me tell you a fact. And when I say a fact, that means that I went into all them Google Moles and coaches and psychiatrists and everything. And I went and I was doing my research and asking why and why this and why do we go through this. And I was getting all this response. One that really caught my attention. And this is a fact that there is a fear that we are, if we ever in a repeated scenario of our traumatic event, we do not trust ourselves to make the right decision to protect ourselves. So
Mm-hmm.
this self-blame results in the survivor losing trust in their ability to make decisions. And when I say survivor, it's us, the women, the person that has experienced those past traumas. We're in that survival mode. So we don't trust ourselves to make the right decision. So what do? Because of that fear, we don't take that step forward
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because we're afraid. So I'm not gonna go out there and look for a relationship because I already know I failed before. I already know what's gonna happen. Just because we have one bad experience, like Natalie said in one of our last lives, one bad experience, that doesn't mean that all of them. Maybe we had two, three, four. But how were we? In what situation or position were we when we were in those relationships? So that's what we have to see. We can't stay tuned in our past traumas, letting our past trauma keep affecting us from building that relation, building that trust,
Mm-hmm.
because we can't let our past traumas robbed us from our happiness and fulfilling our dreams and fulfilling our goals. So let me give you an example. When a woman faces betrayal in the past relationship, despite moving forward, going to therapy, going to counseling, everything, the lingering impact of self trust might manifest as hesitant to fully trust in new relationships. So when we face betrayal in the past, I'm gonna say that. Let me put it in this way. I don't know about you, Natalie, but I've been in this situation where I started my relationship, and then the first thing was, what are you doing? When the person was on the phone, why didn't you answer when it rang? You know, I had all them, even though I went to therapy, I went to counseling, but why didn't you answer? The response was easy. I didn't answer because that's my cousin calling me and I don't. But for me, you were hiding something because I've been in that scenario before. So that triggers something in my brain. Immediately, it was the red flag alert. And even if it wasn't even a red flag for me, it was because I've been in that situation before. So the lingering impact of self trust might manifest in any situation. You might just be watching a movie and he might just, you know, looked around and, oh, you're looking at the women in there because they look better than me. It's any little thing that might manifest when we have that self, because we create that low self-esteem, we create all this other negative behaviors and negative beliefs as well. So we need to break free from those in order to completely move forward. So let me give you another example. um, it could be the aftermath of emotional abuse, which may lead to self doubt and difficulty in trusting one's judgment when entering a new relationship. So, how can we explain a little bit about the aftermath of the emotional abuse? Maybe when we were a child, and I know Natalie can speak in behalf of this because Natalie, like she wrote her book, Natalie knows a lot about, her father. She always says in her lives, her father walking out the door. Me, my mother left. We were raised by a single parent, which was my father. So it was also in a different way, but the abandonment. So as I grew, and besides all the other abuse I dealt with, as I grew, I didn't want to lose my relationship, even though it was unhealthy. Even though my husband, the person I married, the father of my children, was abusive, I didn't want to leave him because I'd rather be with him than have him walk out the door, or me walk out the door and also leave my children, or bring my children without a father, because I've already been through that situation. So I didn't want it to repeat it. So either we lose that self trust, but we also don't trust ourselves to be able to make the decision to walk out. So I went through therapy. Like I said again, we go to therapy, we healed. But when a point of this arouses, after it's been 2 years, I might be with my husband, we're married, everything is good. But if a situation triggers me to feeling that, I need to be prepared for that moment. I need to be able to say, well, he went out. He's going to be back. I need to trust him to say, I need to be able to trust and say, okay, he's going out. He'll be back. He'll be okay. And then when he comes back, I assure myself, yeah, it was okay. It's okay. Because if he don't come back, that means something is not working out also, and we can't blame ourselves. That is another thing that we also have to be, prepared for. We always have to be prepared for the situation. But talking about building trust, I don't want to get out the theme because I can talk for hours now. I'm sorry. I can just,
That's it. Hey, it's a talk show.
yeah,
Yeah, I wanted to chime in before you move to the
yes.
next topic, because this is such a deep topic, and I want to just share from different perspective using like personal story, and I'm sure there's women out there or even men who's watching this can identify with. When we talk about self trust, there are many, 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 many people out there who don't understand the real issue is self trust.
Yes.
The way they present it is as if they don't trust the other person, right? And you kind of alluded to it, Coach Sonia. We have women out there who don't want to take the risk of getting into another unhealthy relationship. I'm sorry. And I get it. I don't want to get into another unhealthy relationship after being in a cycle of them, right?
Mhm.
But I noticed that there's a large group of women and men who will say, I am never getting into a relationship ever again. And the reason why I've heard them say is because they don't trust men or they don't trust women. What some of them don't really understand, that is not the issue. The issue is you really not trusting yourself. And once, even in my own journey, that I realized, you know what, the issue is me. I had to learn to trust. I had to, and I do now, I had to trust the fact that if Mr. Wrong does show up, I now trust myself to say, you know what, I gave this a try. He doesn't seem like he's healthy, and I am out. Before, when I learned about self-trust, and it was me that needed to learn to take care of me and not really put that whole responsibility on my mates, I was blaming them. I was saying they were the problem. I don't trust you. Men are no good. Da, 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 da. Well, I've never said men are no good because I know there are some good men in the world, but there are women who say men are not good. That's not the issue. You know, we can't know always ahead of time whether this man or this relationship or this goal is going to be good or bad for us. We just need to know, like you said, Sonia, in the beginning, we need to have our radars up. We need to have our antennas up. We need to sharpen our people picking skills. And we need to also understand, even though we do all of that, even though we learn the signs of unhealthy relationship, even though we know the red flags, the problem is we need to learn when to get out. When I was in unhealthy relationships, I didn't do that. I kept staying and I kept staying and I kept staying. I kept staying. For me, I'm not putting the responsibility on me that I got abused because of me. I'm not saying that. When I'm saying that, in the beginning, when I saw the red flags, and we do reflection back in all our relationships, majority of the times we see the red flags, or maybe we need to be educated about what red flags are. But when we saw them, we put blinders on
Yes.
because our need to feel love was more important than the red flags that we saw. And we justified it by saying, oh, I'll fix him. I'm going to love him like he's never been loved before. And then everything will be okay. No, we can't fix him. We can fix us. And who's it? Maya Angelou has this saying that when people show you who they are, believe them. See, women like me, how I used to be, is like, you know what? I see that he has a little bit of faults, but I'm gonna fix him. I'm gonna be the different one. I'm gonna make him better. I'm gonna do all those things. And I didn't trust myself enough to say, Natalie, you need to get out of this relationship because this man has done all the signs that he's a toxic person, that he's a broken man, and I don't care what you do, you're not going to be able to fix him. You just need to run for safety. I didn't do that. Now I trust myself enough that if he shows up, I'm out. I'm gonna give you a little bit of time, but I'm out. A little bit of time, I'm out. I'm not taking on no projects. I'm not trying to fix nobody. I'm out. So the responsibility is on me learning to protect myself, learning the signs, learning when to get out. That's about self-trust. So you know what? Because I've gotten there and I want to help other women get there, I'm good with dating now. I'm good with dating. I'm not afraid anymore. I'm not scared because I know when it's time to leave. And even if I don't know when it's time to leave, I have people in my network like Natalie, that may not be the one for you. And I trust them enough to say, hmm. So yeah, it's about self-trust. It's not about you don't trust this man, you don't trust. It's not about that. It's about us learning to trust. We can't control other people, but we can learn again when to get out. So that's one thing I wanted to say, Sonia. And the other thing I wanted to say about the impact and how trauma affects our self-trust. Like you said, because my father wasn't dead, he didn't
I gotta
model
close the door.
me how a man should treat me. I didn't get that. Even though I've been through a lot of toxic relationships, it wasn't a lot, but I've been through enough. Majority of my relationships were toxic. However, there was one point in my life that Mr. Right showed up in my life. He showed up in my life. He asked me to marry him when I got pregnant with my youngest daughter, and I was like, "Nah, I don't want to get married because just because I'm pregnant." Then this is about let me see, 10 years later, we were still together. 10 years later, we had developed a business, a recovery organization in New Jersey. We were thriving. We were doing great work in the community. He was definitely a mover and a shaker, and he loved to be in the grassroots environment and helping people and networking and all of that. We were doing well. This man asked me to marry him again. This time I said yes, but later on in the relationship, I broke it off. And the reason why I broke it off is because honestly, I didn't trust me. That's what was the real deal. I blamed him. I was looking at his life and say, the reason why I don't want to marry him is because of this, and this. But the real reason why is I was insecure. I didn't trust myself. I didn't really get in the relationship. You know how you anybody know how to jump double dutch or you jump single rope and you're going like this to get in the rope? That's
Mhm.
how I was in relationships. Like I'm about to get into this relationship, but I'm not jumping all the way in. I'm staying on the sidelines just in case. Just in case. That's what happens when you don't trust yourself. So when Mr. White shows up, you can sabotage that relationship because you on the sidelines because you don't trust. So that's why it's important that we're doing this topic of learning to trust ourselves, right? And this has nothing to do with anybody else. This is about us. The real reason why we have to learn how to take care of ourselves. So, Sonia, I want to send it back to you.
Yes, I'm sorry. My son had woken up, so I had to get up for a real quick second. So let me just share one of the last examples I want to share with y'all before I move into my next segment. So it was experiencing neglect as a child in your childhood. So this can result in a challenge trusting others to fulfill emotional needs. So you know when we are neglected as a child, then what does it mean with trusting we the results to trusting others with our needs, right? It can go either way. We might not be able to trust other people with our needs because we already know, like me, I was always told no. So I stopped asking for people for help if I need it because I don't trust no one. I have to do it I used to believe I gotta do it on my own because I already know the answer. So I don't trust others. I might trust certain people. I might trust my spouse. I might trust my sister. I might trust my mother, but I don't trust no one outside the doors. I have co-workers, yes. I go to church, yes. But do I trust everyone out there? That's I'm not saying I don't. I'm saying that's an example. We might not trust everybody out there, or we might just overlook the situation due to our past trauma for our childhood abandonment. We don't want to trust other people because we're afraid if we start trusting them and building a relationship, eventually they're going to walk out. And that's the sad reality that we cannot live under these aspects. Like we have to learn how to, if we learn to self trust ourselves, it'd be easier for us to move into a healthy relationship, but we have to know how. So right now, I want to go into my second segment, which is why is trust the foundation? So why is trust the foundation? Well, trust is the foundation of thriving relationships because it fosters emotional safety, communication, and genuine connection. Without self trust, extending trust to others becomes challenging and impeding us to grow and sustainably build relationships if we don't build that self trust. So it is very important because we can also it can also promote positively if we trust is a foundation. Let me get recap my thing. Okay, so it's also building our self trust. Also, it promotes positively. It reduces conflict in a relationship, and it increases closeness with your partner. So I'm going to share with you all some strategies for rebuilding self trust. And these strategies, I've personally used them myself, and I've shared them with other women as well. So let's explore some strategies to rebuild self trust after past trauma. So we're laying the groundwork for healing relationships. Okay, here we go. Self reflection. And I encourage you to do self reflection, like to identify triggers, understand emotional responses, and recognize patterns from past traumas. This self awareness is crucial for rebuilding trust and ability and the abilities to trust again. So let me put it in this way. So understanding the emotional responses, we have to understand how certain situations make us feel and also recognizing patterns. So we already know, if we already know that certain situation becomes a pattern for us, the way we react, the way we get angry, we don't want to trust this person. So if we work through those emotions and red flags, And I'm gonna say this: I like to sometimes when I feel, and I think I'm gonna speak about it in a little bit. Well, I'm gonna speak. It's gonna be in the future, the journaling part. But even in the self reflection, you can also put it down on paper. Just self reflecting and thinking. Sometimes write it down. Write down what emotion, what how your emotions and why is you feeling this emotion, so you can get to understand and recognizing the patterns. One thing that I do know, that when we make it a pattern, that means that it's something that we continue to do over and over again. So we go out with someone and everything is going fine, and then like Natalie says, and then we said, no, that's enough. I'm not going out no more because we're getting too close and I don't trust this person. But that's the truth. Maybe we don't trust ourselves. So we need to practice self-reflection. Self-reflection is the awareness and is crucial for rebuilding trust in one's ability. Okay. Another one is therapeutic support. So seeking professional help provides a safe space to navigate the complexities of past traumas. And I already know that if you already went through a therapist and you already went through a counseling, well, we're also here. We're coaches here that um, we can help you build coping mechanisms and fostering self-trust. Also, if you feel like you're still in a space where it's too much and overwhelmed, it's always good to seek professional support, like a therapist. Um, if needed, because like me and Natalie say, even though we are coaches, I still have a therapist that I see and I talk if I need and anything emergency. I'm always a phone call away to set an appointment, either via Zoom or in person. But if I ever feel in a way where I feel like it's affecting my personal well-being, I always contact. There's nothing wrong with that. That don't mean we're crazy. That don't mean that everything is going wrong. So therapeutic support. The third one is empowerment through small steps. So take small, manageable steps towards rebuilding trust. Celebrate victories, no matter how minor, to instill a sense of achievement and empowerment, the journey towards self trust. So it's small steps. If you were before you weren't able to trust the person to go out and now you did, that's a celebration. That's a small step saying, you know what, I'm gonna trust this person, or I'm gonna trust myself. I'm not only talking about the relationship part, but we're speaking about self-trust. My example as a person who has experienced addiction in the past, I'm always on my recovery mode, so I would never put myself in a situation where, I don't mean to call it like this, but I'm gonna call it how I used to call it if I was in my hometown. I'm gonna go to the hood. So I'm going to, where everybody hangs out to drink and party and chill. I'm gonna go over there where everybody having, you know, I would never put myself in that situation. I would never put myself in a place where I know there's gonna be illicit drugs, which I know my brain immediately is gonna tell me, hey, we're here. How about one? So I already know I wouldn't do that. But I would say that I might be in a place where it has nothing to do with me. I might just be at a bus station and somebody might be over here in the corner using some. So that gives me the awareness to say, you know what? I can walk away from this. I can move to this area over here. I can just call somebody pick me up. So I can celebrate that small step of me saying it didn't make me go use. It didn't make me go ask, but I was able to walk away and continue another day of sobriety. So I can celebrate that small step, which is a great victory for me. So when it comes to self trust, I trusted myself. Well, if you see the scenario in this situation, I trusted myself that if I went out, I didn't have to stay in my house locked up because I'm afraid of going out and somebody's going to do something or somebody's going to indulge something. I cannot keep myself locked in the house because I'm trying to protect myself. So that's when we start building walls. So that's what I say. Um, when we empower through small steps, we also celebrate ourselves. Never forget to celebrate yourself. You know, just that achievement for you. Like I say, sometimes I get me some sweet. I don't like sweets that much, but when I do get one, I'm always gonna go for the Coke or the honey bun. I'm not gonna lie. So just celebrate those small steps and victories and continue to enhance your self trust using the strategies to rebuilding self trust. Natalie, anything you want to add up before I'm moving to the coping skills for nurturing self trust?
Just want to add, I like how you talked about self-reflection.
Yes,
That one stood out more than anything else, Coach Sonia, because that's how we learn about ourselves. That's how we pick up the patterns of behaviors that we exhibit. Because a lot of times we're just like on autopilot, and self
yes,
reflection gives us time to say, okay, let me review my past relationships. Let me review my past situations. Is there a pattern in all of that? Do I seem to be doing the same things over and over again? That's what they call a pattern.
yes,
And Sonia briefly talked about a journal, which we have coming up soon.
yes.
We're offering you a journal. I'm in the midst of creating one. Um, Actually, based on what Sonia had shared with me that she wanted on the journal, I'm creating it now. So when we post it, take advantage of that, because that's a way to do the self reflections. If you don't know how to self reflect, it's going to ask you, they call prompts. It's going to ask you different questions. It's going to ask you to do different things to get you thinking about past. So you can see what those patterns are. So you can distinguish, was, you know what? He may have done this, but I've done this in each relationship. Every time I go after my goal, I notice I continually do this, and this is the thing that stops me. Again, that was awesome. I love self-reflection, and we're gonna, yeah, we're gonna bring you some tools to help you with that. So yeah, I just wanted to share that part, self-reflection, and thank you for coming up with several tools to help our audience, Coach Sonia, on how to cope with learning to self-trust.
Absolutely, absolutely. So yes, I just want to say that it is hard at the beginning, even when you go through therapy, even when you go to counseling, like we say, there's always that past trauma that is gonna resurface. So we need to be prepared and we need to have that armor on so we'll know. And it's always good. It's nothing wrong with asking for help or advice when needed. And like I say, um, we do have worksheets available so you can enhance and prepare yourself and work and learn. It has tools, it has techniques, it'll help you grow as well so you can prepare yourself to build that healthy relationship that you're looking for. So yes, yes, Natalie, absolutely. So now I want to move forward to coping skills for nurturing.
I'm sorry, Coach Sonia. I just got to reiterate what you just said, because it is so powerful. And I want to repeat it because I want the audience to continue to hear that as we do our lives. And what Sonia said, for the second or third time in this live, is that even when you have done some work, some healing work, right? We never get to the place where we've done all of our healing work. Look at the painful experiences that we went through. It's not going to, first of all, the painful experience is never going to not have happened again. It's always going to be in our head. However, it's the coping skills and how we manage the emotions, how we manage our thoughts, as we move forward. But the thing I find that what goes wrong in a lot of people's lives is that they don't understand that even though you take the steps, there's still some lingering stuff that's left there that you need to deal with. And that's why I openly share that, I too am in therapy. We're talking about 35 years later, after stopping using substances, after going through 12-step recovery program for a long time, going in and out of therapy, having a mother who's a psychotherapist. I've always known, like, whenever I get stuck, whenever you get to hit that brick wall, that is an indication that, you know what, there's something in here that I didn't address.
Yes.
So I need to develop some coping skills. So like Sonia said, you can go to a therapist, you can go to a coach, you can go to someone who has the knowledge base to help you with that. Someone. But the things that some people don't do, they think like, you know what, it's in the past, I'm done, doesn't affect me. It affected me 20 years ago, but doesn't affect me now. You don't know how it's going to affect you in the future. Our traumatic experiences, again, that we went through is never going to go away. And it sets up certain pathways in our brains of how we respond. So we have to continue to fight back with tools when they emerge. and they can lay dormant. Those old trauma responses, like Sonia mentioned, about overeating, about substance use, about shopping till you drop, about getting involved in toxic relationships. These are ways that women like us have used, or some of us are still using, to cope with our feelings, right? Because we haven't yet learned a healthy way. Know that you have to continue this journey. This is an ongoing journey. Do not fool yourself to think like it's over. I've done it. I did it for a year, so I'm done. No, no. Because even in this, and I'm sharing this on you because I'm such a
Yes, absolutely.
what's the word? This has always been a challenge. Like, out of my 32 years of being a counselor, this has been one of the main challenges, to get people to understand what the journey of recovery looks like, what the journey of transformation looks like. And it's like, we have to get in our head to understand that it's not over. It's not over. There's more work to be done. Because let's take a look at this. Like, let's say your traumatic experience happened when you were young. Like me, my father left at 6 years old. That's like the first trauma that happened in my life, right? So when I go to therapy, I'm not just going to therapy because of what happened when I was 6 years old from my father. I'm going to therapy definitely for that. But as a result of him leaving, I didn't have a good role model. He wasn't a good role model. He's a womanizer. Guess what? That put a thought in my head about the men who I attract in my life. So now, over these years, I'm 61, I'm far from 6 years old, I have developed a pattern of unhealthy behaviors, bringing unhealthy people in my life that I have to deal with in my on my journey of healing. I can't say, well, my only issue was my father leaving at 6. Really?
Mhm.
That was the first one, and that led you to other stuff. And
Mhm.
I get it sometimes, because sometimes we don't see that, and we need someone who's a professional to be able to connect those dots for us. We need someone to say, I know you don't see it, but you might want to take a look at that. And I know me, to be honest, like, I didn't buy into all of this in the beginning either. I didn't. But every time, like, I hit a brick wall, every time I ran out of answers, I was like, okay, let me give it a try their way. But I did get to the point of, let me give it a try their way, and it always seemed to work. So now I easily can say, oh, brick wall, let me do some self-reflection. Okay. These last 3 years, I didn't get to my goal for the last 3 years. Let's sit down and say, okay, in these last 3 years, did I seek any help? Or did I try to do it myself? And now it's time to go get some help.
Natalie, I was trying to, I think I didn't put it. I don't know if you can bring it up. I wanted to put in a question for the ladies. I was going to move into the coping skills for nurturing self trust, but I want to ask, what of this self trust issues we discussed tonight, which one of this you can hold on, I got the word right here, relate to, like the ones we mentioned tonight, like abandonment. Which one? Well, let me put the question. Hold on, Natalie. I'm sorry. Let me get my thoughts.
Yeah, I'm looking for the question.
Okay. Okay. My question is, which what self trust issue has affected your in relationship? I don't know if you can rephrase that question, Natalie, because
Okay,
I
repeat
know I
that
had a
again,
question.
Coach Sonia.
Yeah,
I'm looking for the
it's.
question. Yeah.
I don't think I put it in the chat comments.
But repeat it again.
So I want to ask, what self trust issue has affected them, has affected their relation, like the relation they're in now. Which one, which issue they've had from trust. I I
Okay,
can't
so
come
is
up with
this
that.
well, that's one way. I think what and let me know if I got it right or wrong,
Okay,
Coach Sonia. Are you asking, like, what area of their lives did their self-trust affect?
they're they're like a good relationship that they it affected it and they lost the relation. Like, I just want to know,
Okay,
you know.
okay.
I-
So how did their lack of trusting affect their relationship?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. And
That's a good question.
I'm losing my focus because I hear my son on the other. I'm
That's
afraid
okay.
he's gonna drop his TV. He be trying to get in that sofa and be moving the television. So I hear him banging on the wall.
Yeah. In fact, that was one of the ones I shared about, running into Mr. Right.
Hmm.
And because I didn't trust myself, I didn't allow myself to fully be in the relationship. And I sabotaged it. That was a way. Do you have a way, Coach
Yeah.
Sonia? So we can give the audience some ideas
I
of, yeah.
actually I tried. I tried. The only relationship I've been after my past, because was in an unhealthy relationship, which was my marriage for 10 years. Then I moved into my second unhealthy relationship, which where the first one was 8 years with my husband, and then the second one was a 10-year relationship, which it was like my second common law, call it common law husband in Texas, and it was. Then when I moved here to Georgia and I did my recovery and I was going to therapy, I met my now husband. So I tried my self trust, me not trusting, either me saying I would never get in a relationship again, I was done. I used I always try to walk out my relationship because I was afraid of that commitment. And my
Mm.
second way that my self trust and my trust issues affected my relationship is my husband asked me to marry him, and I said, yeah, but like in the future, right? Like, and then every time we talked about it, I would always say, but why do we need to get married? Because once we get married, in my mind, all the problems are gonna start. So those was two of my main issues with self trust, Natalie.
You
It
know,
was.
there's another one I just thought of, Coach Sonia, and it has nothing to do with like an intimate relationship. Like my lack of trust in myself affected my ability to live in my purpose. It affected
Mhm.
my ability to reach my goals
Yes.
because I didn't trust. And what it looked like is like, and this is going towards the past, I would keep myself around like the same people that I was familiar with, but they weren't able to support me in reaching my goal, whether they didn't see the goal the way I saw it, because God gives you the gift, gives you the vision, not everybody else. Um, or they didn't think it was possible. And I knew that about them, but I was too afraid to move into the circles where women who were thinking like me or women who were already at their goal because I didn't trust myself. I didn't trust myself to be comfortable in those circles. I didn't trust myself that even if I get into those circles and I experience anxiety, that I will be okay. I didn't trust myself. I didn't trust myself to say, "Well, Natalie, you have coping skills. You know what to do. You've taught them. You know what to do." I didn't trust myself, so I didn't expose myself to those environments. And if I did, I didn't expose myself for very long.
Yes.
I didn't. I didn't trust that. And that caused me to self sabotage many opportunities.
Yes. And that's one I didn't bring it up on this one because we speak about self sabotage, but self sabotages goes a long way with a lot of our past traumas. Because yes, not having self trust and saying, "Well, I was in this great," like Natalie said, in this great, I had this great position and I was getting all this money, but then I messed it up, and and then you remember you screw up and how everything, and then we're afraid of doing it again because
Hmm.
we're afraid the fear of failure. So we
Yes.
self sabotage because we don't trust ourselves that we're going to be able to do it right this time. So
Yeah.
yeah, self trust goes a long way.
Yeah.
It's like Natalie says, it's not only about building, but it was the month of February. We're doing the relationship, the love, the everything. So we wanted to bring you all something, but just we just want you to understand that it goes a long way with everything. Everything goes hand in hand. When trauma comes, trauma. Past traumas don't respect nothing. They don't respect your age. They don't respect situations, positions, nothing. Past trauma sometimes it just hits you. So we want to equip you, like I said, with tools and techniques that can work for you.
Yeah.
And Speaking of that, I'm going to share some coping skills for nurturing self trust. So, building self trust is an ongoing process. So, let's explore three coping skills to support this journey. The first one, and I know I've shared it before, and I hope y'all don't get tired, but I'm going to share with you what really works. So, it's mindfulness and grounding techniques. So, practice mindfulness to stay present and grounded. These techniques like deep breathing and grounding exercise can help you manage overwhelming emotions, fostering a sense of control. I always like the breathing. The breathing works. And I told Natalie I just did I was in this Zoom with they were talking about self-sabotage, and it was a great Zoom meeting that I had, and it was this event that I attended this past days, and they did the breathing, and it felt so great because she went deep in. I do the breathing, I breathe, I release, I hold, then I release, and it always calms me. It regulates your breathing, it regulates your blood streams of flows and your brain and everything, and you start coming down. So if you're feeling anxiety and you're starting to feel like your palms are sweating, always use the mindful techniques. Do the breathing exercise. It really works to calm you down. And once you get to the calming position, then you can think better and say, okay, now what do I need to do now that I'm calm? And then you can work through the situation. So it really works. And the second one,
Can I go? I want to piggyback off of what you said
yes,
about
yes.
techniques that really do work, and I actually use one today.
Mhm.
Like it was about me getting some things done, right? And at the same time, there's something going on in my life that I was thinking about, right? And I've noticed myself starting to get overwhelmed with anxiety. And then what I did was, you talk about mindfulness. I told myself this: we need to stop right here. Let's just stop and let's take off everything off the table that's in our minds and only focus on what's the very next thing we need to do. Because I recognize when I was, and what mindfulness is like thinking about what you're thinking about, right? Just thinking about what's in your head. What is all the thoughts in your head? And I had thoughts about stuff that was supposed to happen later on. And I'm like, no, we're not doing that. Let's take things, the weight off. What is the very next thing you need to do? And then what is the very next thing you need to do after that? And as I was doing that, I noticed that my anxiety began to decrease. So those tools really do work. And that's why, I'm a big proponent of the tools. It's so important to use tools because you're going to need them on this journey of finding what's new in your life and what's next.
Absolutely. You know what? It's funny you mention it because I want to share a small experience that today, and it also helped me. And like I said, when I'm always trying to learn and I always trying to get all these techniques, and there's something that I learned today, and maybe it was already here, but when you hear it and you see it, it hits you different. And my husband, there's a lot going on right now with his family. His grandma just passed a few weeks ago, and a lot of other things with his niece that lost her mother, not only her mother, but her dad in the same period of short time. So right now she's in a distressful, you know, when you're acting out and you're trying to find and cope in all the negative ways. So he received not one, but he had a call where he had to give some advice and everything. And I always say my husband's like my therapist as well. Every time I need him. So he had one call. Then 30 minutes later his phone rang again. So there was a second one. Later another call. Now it was his brother telling him everything going on with this girl he's dating and everything going on, and he's giving him advice. And I'm listening to him giving all this advice and everything and calmly. And before, if I'm telling you 3 years back, he used to be like, bro, you need to figure this. He would get mad, like frustrated, like really quick. And it's like the growth and the change I've seen in him since he started taking his life back. So I gotta say that because he said he's taking his life back too as well. He's learned a lot from me as well and from us. He rewatches our lives and everything. So it's really, she's taking life back. It's been life changing for him as well. He had another call. By the end, it was like 3.5 hours had passed, and I said, "Oh, you were a therapist today for?" And he turned around and he said, "Yes." And you heard everything that's going on. And he said, "And guess what? I had to walk out," because he walked out the living room and came back, cool, and sat down. He said he had to walk out and breathe. He came to the room and he breathed everything that happened, everything that's going on. And he said, "I had to take a breathing moment." He said, "And then I have to let it go. They called me, I listened, I gave advice, and now I'm letting it go." Because sometimes that's what we need to do. We need to let go. We can't keep holding on to that, all that negativity, because it will drop us, like it would really do us harm. So that's one thing I learned today. Sometimes I need to let go, because I don't know, Natalie, but there are situations where something happens and we keep thinking about it, about that situation that happened all day. And right now that we're speaking about trust, I had an issue at work where I was looked in a different way, and I feel like now I don't even trust this person, because if you try to did something like this to me, now I feel like you smile in my face, but you're really, so that I lost trust at a member at work that I really look up to. So this situation did that. For a whole day I kept thinking and thinking and thinking about it, but then I had to tell myself, my just need to put a space between it. I have to work with this person. It's gonna be okay, but I just have to put set boundaries where I can only talk to you work related. Other
Mhm.
than that, you cannot come to me and ask me about,
I
oh,
like
how's
that.
everything going at your home, because I'm not doing it no more.
Yeah,
Not doing it no more.
that's great. Hey, Sonia, you see me smiling, laughing at that one. I remember, like, oh my God, when it came to work, and we all know, let's keep it real. There's a lot of, not a lot, there's conflict that happens on jobs, right? Because we're dealing with different personalities,
Yes.
right? So that's one of those places that we really need coping skills, because not only we dealing with different personalities, we're around them a lot, 8 hours of the day, 8 hours or more. So I remember years ago, the way I handled, like, not, someone that is difficult, I wouldn't even talk to you at all. Even like if you were, and guys, this is years and years ago, right? I wouldn't even talk to you, even if you're on my job, right? And the bad thing about that is the person that I stopped talking to, like, I needed something from them. We were on a job, we were on a team. And it took me a long, long time to do what you said. Like, okay, I've learned that, and I can trust myself. I can be in their presence, and I can be professional, and I don't have to feel like I want to tell them off. I can get what I need, have the conversation I need to have, and out. And out. Like, we're not going to lunch together. We're not having, coffee together. We're not doing any of that. But because we're on this job, I had to learn, and I had to trust myself that you're going to behave yourself, Natalie,
Mhm.
when you're in front of this person, because this is your job and they have something to offer you. Then we out. I
Yeah.
had to trust myself. Before then, I didn't trust myself. I don't even want to be around you, because I'm going to let you have it.
Thank you.
I'm going to let you have it. That's me not trusting me. That had nothing to do with them. It was me.
No, absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And sometimes, like I said, when we're talking about self trust and building trust, uh, let me plug in my laptop real quick. Give me one
Mhm.
second
Mhm.
before we go out. Okay, great. Got it. So yes, that's very true, Natalie. And there's some situations where we know we're building trust. We build ourselves trust. We're trying to work through all this. So when a situation hits you that it has nothing to do with you but the other person, we remove that person. And if you can remove that person for any reason, set boundaries. Like
Boundaries.
we said, like I
Mhm.
said, from now on, it's like work related. I'm here. I
Mhm.
understand. I'll listen, but don't
Mhm.
ask me about my personal life no more, because whatever I did trust you in the past, I don't know more.
Mhm.
So I call it. It is what it is. And thank you, but my well being and my mindset comes first.
Yes.
That's one thing. So let's move forward to the my second coping skill. Right? I was talking about the coping skills,
Yes.
Natalie. Okay, yeah, coping skill. So let me move to my second one, which this one I love, and that's one of my favorites as well as the breathing. The journaling for reflection. So regular journaling can be a great way for self-reflection, tracking progress and identifying areas for growth. It serves as a personal document, like a documentation for the journey towards rebuilding self-trust. And I tell you this because I don't want to bring out all my journals, but if you can see back here, I got a lot of them. I love writing. I do. That's
Hmm.
one of what I do in my time, my me time. I can just sit down and write about any situation, even if it's some feelings and emotions, even if it's I call my family. I miss my children. I'm in the state of Georgia. I have a son that is in Washington State. I used to visit him a few times when he was in Adam, but now he's over there. My other children are in Texas. My son just got called into the Army Reserve, so his the National Guard, and his godmother's son. So, sometimes I feel sad, sometimes I get emotional. So I come in and I use my journal to reflect. So for self trust, this is very good for self trust because you can write down if you have a situation where you don't trust, well, when you don't trust the situation, if you have a situation where you don't trust the situation, you can always write it down on your journal and put in
Hmm.
what is it that you're feeling? What is this causing you to feel? And if it's rational, that's how you can find out if it's rational, the way you're thinking, if it's coming because of a past trauma, or does it have a real sense through the situation right now? Is it really a point for you to feel that you can't trust this person or you can't trust the situation? But when we're building, we got to do some self reflect. So, reflecting on our actions and our thoughts and our past, that can help us move forward to building that self trust and getting better, building better connections in your relationship.
Hmm.
So, anything you want to add up, Natalie, before I share our last one?
Yeah, well, I just talked about journaling
Yes.
earlier, but I do want to add to what the importance of journaling, what works for me. And I would love, I probably will do a workshop on journaling. I love
Yes.
this.
That'd be great.
Um, because when you journal, when we talk about seeing those patterns, and we're talking about trauma mindset, and we're talking about achieving goals, including developing healthy relationships, right,
Mhm.
with yourself, we can, with the help of others who have a little bit more knowledge, we can kind of figure out, like, where is this issue coming from? Is this an issue that's really going on in your life now, or is this an issue from your past? Let me give you an example. Um, like I mentioned, I'm in therapy, right, EMDR,
Mhm.
and like some of the issues I was talking about, I began to notice through like my journeying and writing, like everything I'm writing about is everything that happened like 40 years ago.
Mhm.
And then what it allowed me to also do is, because the assignment I got was, okay, so let's talk about the evidence of of the last 10 or 15 years that supports that you can do this. Because
Mhm.
when I self-sabotage, and when we self-sabotage, because we put message in our head about how we're not going to be able to do things, but if we write them down in our journals and we see patterns, we'll notice that that's a message from
Yeah.
your past. And I'm
Mhm.
like, you know what? I'm living from out of my past. So let me write down again, let me write down the evidence that I can do it. Let me write all the situations and all the things that happen in my life currently, and all the things that people told me about myself currently. I need to take a look at that.
Mhm.
I need to have that journal, so I have that constant reminder on paper that no, I can do it. And I couldn't do it before because my mindset was in my past. And you talk
Yes.
about letting go. That's a whole process in itself.
Mhm.
But yeah, journaling is awesome.
Yes.
People don't take the time to write. I wasn't a big journaler either until I saw the real value of it. Journaling is so important. I learned a lot
Yes.
about
Absolutely. Mhm. Yeah, it helped me grow a lot. Like it shows me the past, how I used to see myself and view myself. If I look at my old notebooks as the perspective of how I view and see myself now, the way I used to talk, even about relationships and men, in the past as I do now. So I've learned to cherish a lot, and I've learned to remove a lot of negativity as well. But it does help you to build that, that understanding, Natalie, as like you said. So my last but not least is building a support system. And we just talked
Yes.
about this on one of our last YouTube live, which was building support networks. So that is very important when you're establishing a strong support network. Surround yourself with understanding friends, family, and support groups who can provide encouragement and sense of belonging during challenging moments. So we are here. She's taking her life back. We are here to support you. We are one of those groups and organizations that are here to support all the women, and everyone has been through trauma in the past and have gone through therapy, gone through counseling, but are still having issues to fulfill, find your purpose, or fulfill any goal that you haven't been able to meet. And you want to be able to have tools and techniques to keep moving forward in life and overcome obstacles, and don't let setbacks hold you down. We are here to help you and guide you and coach you. And support networks, friends or family are very important. We have to have somebody that we trust, like we really do. We can't just keep it to ourselves. So if you have that family member, if you have that special friend, that's how you start. But you have to build your self trust in order to include more. So find those support groups as well, and continue to learn and enhance your knowledge to support your well-being and your trust to building healthy relationships. Natalie, I see you thinking, Natalie.
Oh, can you see me
I
thinking?
see you
I'm such
I
a thinker. You can see that.
see you.
My mind is, because as you're talking, often, Sonia, as you talk, it has me thinking and it going into my past. So yeah.
Mhm.
Um, when you were saying that, let me start here. It is so important to not just grab anybody in your support system
Mm-mm.
because they're
No.
familiar. Let me start there. It is so
Yes.
important that the people that you include in the support system are there for a purpose. So some of the people that are in your support system, if you want to do it right, if you want to break free from where you are and get to another place, some of those people you are not going to be comfortable around.
Yeah.
So when Sonia, when you were saying like, you start with your friends and family, which is good, but you just can't pick them just because they're your
No.
family and just because of your friend. Like, what are they going to bring to your table of support?
Yes.
Are they gonna encourage you? Are they going to be able to see things and say to you, you know what, you really need to take a look at that. You need a truth teller on your support system. So it shouldn't be just family or friends, because even though a lot of our friends and our family are well-meaning people, they still may not be equipped to help you to reach this particular goal. So when you were talking, Sonia, I was thinking like way back in the beginning of my recovery
Mhm.
from substance use. And they talk about building a support network. That's why I
Yeah.
first heard about it. Build a support network. I was so really focused on really changing my life, right? I didn't just want to stop the use of substances. I wanted to really change my life. I wanted to go to be happy. I wanted to live my life on purpose. Because I had all these dreams in my
Yes.
head, even though I was using substances at the time, I still had these goals I wanted to achieve. So once I first got in recovery, and they was like, pick a support network, I had like really good women that gave me good advice and say, Natalie, make an informed decision who you invite your life, right? So if you're going to ask someone have someone in your support system, ask yourself, what is the value that they're bringing?
Mhm.
How are they supporting you going to your next? Don't just bring them just because you know them, because we know people that in our family and some people that we know from childhood and on our job or are not equipped to help you. Some of them may deter you from your dream. They're going to tell you, oh, you can't do that. That's not possible. And believe me, I had people in my experience like who had letters behind their name. I have letters behind my name, but they had far more letters behind their name than I did. But because I'm a visionary, I think like, don't tell me what I can't do, right? So I had this one young lady who says, "Oh, you can't do this because you don't have this." You,
Yes.
my mind, I was like, "You're thinking too small. You're
Yes.
not knowledgeable about what you don't understand. You're not knowledgeable. I already have somebody in my support system that's already done it in the way that you said that I couldn't." So that person wasn't being mean. That person just wasn't knowledgeable about where I'm trying to go.
Go.
Now you have knowledge and letters behind your name about this, but not where I'm going. Because I have somebody in my support system that got there. So really be mindful of your support system. I developed a workbook about developing accountability partners. They could be in your support networks. And it really teaches you like who to select. Why are you selecting them? What value are they bringing? Not just because you know them. That's not it. We sometimes build support system based on the wrong values, and it doesn't support us. I years ago, I have to be honest, my self-esteem was real low. I used to be the smartest one in the room. And I realized that I made myself feel good because I was the smartest one in the room. But we now know if you're in the smartest one in your circle, you are in the wrong circle. You need to be in another circle where you're the student and not the teacher. Because otherwise, how are you going to stretch yourself and learn? It's so important. And one thing, I'm returning back to you, Sonia, one of the challenges that I found like through my clients over the years is that had difficulty admitting that they need help. They would struggle to do things on their own instead of saying, I can't do it. I need a support system. We now know today that was based on their traumatic experience of not trusting people.
Yes.
So it's so important. Like if you really don't know how to support, how to trust, it is really a good time to stay on these lives. Come meet us every Wednesday. Check our videos out. Check out Facebook posts. Check out TikToks. Learn to trust because that's the only way you're going to get to a goal of building good relationships with yourself. What we're talking about today, because you can't do it on your own. It has to be taught by somebody that knows better than you. You can't take yourself somewhere you have never been. So I just want to really hone on this support system is so, so important. So, but you have to work through your self-trust to be able to trust other people to help you. Otherwise, you're going to be by yourself, going around in circles every year, talking about, I'm going to meet this goal. I want this kind of man. I want this kind of friend, and not getting it year after year because you're trying to do it by yourself. You can't give
Absolutely.
yourself what you don't have. Coach Sonia?
Okay, before I hit into my conclusion, I want to reframe because Natalie, I did mention that when you surround yourself with understanding friends, family, and support groups, make sure they can provide encouragement, empathy, and a sense of belonging during challenging moments. I did mention that part, so I just want to make sure you heard me because I
Okay.
know it's very important that you cannot just choose any person to come into and be that because you don't want somebody that's going to tell you, "Oh, you're failing. Ah, you're good. Ah, you don't matter. Ah,
Mm-hmm.
who cares? Let's do
Yeah.
us." You don't
Yeah.
want
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Absolutely don't need that. I don't need to sink deeper in my boat. I don't need somebody to help me make holes. I need somebody to help me patch them.
Yeah, yeah,
So
and I
yeah,
did hear you, Coach Sonia, but
yeah,
I'm such a proponent of this. I
yes,
got to reiterate it over and
yes,
over and over
absolutely,
again, so people
absolutely.
will get it. Yeah, this is so important.
It is Natalie, and I said that that was one of my negative one of my negatives on my through my recovery and going to therapy and I know I've learned it and I've building that network now and I feel good for the past year. It's just taking a life back. I have family back home that support me. I'm in support groups. I'm included in support groups. I come in, I comment, I respond to questions. They sometimes I ask questions myself if needed. But before I didn't have this. I only had me,
Hmm.
my therapist, my psychiatrist, and my husband. So I felt when I had a situation where I didn't have that. You know how the Bible says, if you have a problem, you take it to this person and this person,
Yeah.
and you share it so they can tell you if you're the one wrong or the other person. You know, they're going to tell you the truth. I
Mhm.
didn't have that. So I am glad that I built a support network where I have people in communities that I can go.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and sometimes I want to share with the ladies that something what is good when you join these groups is if you're a women that don't want people, you don't want to put yourself out there. It's like all you do is ask a question, and the questions being responded. Even here, if you come in and you don't feel like you want to be share your name, you can just put it anonymous. Of course, we always want to know your name. Of course, we always want to keep in touch, but you can always ask a question if you feel that you want to start like that until you build that relationship as well with us. That is fine. You can always
Mhm.
come and comment and ask a question. Feel free to ask a question if you struggling with some situation, if it's not self-trust, even if it's on one of our past lives, that is unhealthy relationship, if it's self-sabotage, if it's self-limited beliefs, anything, and you've been through therapy, through counseling, but you still have certain areas that need some guiding, you can always feel free to reach out, leave us a message,
Mhm.
leave us a comment, and of course we will respond. We are here to guide you and coach you. So we got to our end, Natalie, and I
Mhm.
was thrilled. This was a great live. I am so excited because Cupid's Chronicles have so much to offer. We
Mhm.
have so much that we are going to be talking about. So let me head on and say that as we conclude today's discussion, remember that the path to healthy relationships begins with self trust. Acknowledge the impact of past traumas, employ strategies to rebuild, and embrace coping skills for ongoing support. Join us in upcoming episode of Cupid's Chronicles as we continue this empowering journey. Until next time, we take care and remember that healing matters. Don't forget to like and hit the notification bell to stay updated for our upcoming series. We will also have the link for the self trust worksheet available for you on our YouTube description. So download yours for a small cost of $9.99 to enhance your own personal journey towards self trust and healthy relationships. If you have any questions or topics you'd like for us to cover, feel free to comment below. Thank you for being part of Cupid's Chronicles. And Natalie, would you like to share a little bit before we leave, since we have a few minutes before it gets the hour and 30 minutes about our next week's topics?
Yeah. Before I go into next week topics, I want to remind the audience about um, your free opportunity to receive one of these workbooks, worksheets, and I say workbook because if
It's
you
more than one.
someone, yeah, it is more than one page. I believe the one on the left is like 3 pages. One on the right, I think, is 6 or 7. These are our worksheets. Can you imagine what our workbooks are going to be like?
Mhm.
So, if you want to receive one of these, your choice of a worksheet, excuse me, which is really a workbook, we have the things that we want you to do. We want you, remember, to stay on the live with us for 3 consecutive lives, right? Every Wednesday,
Absolutely.
8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Times. We want to know you on the live. And the only way we're going to know that if you put something in a comment.
You need
You
to
could just
comment.
put, you know what? I joined the live. And also tell us something you learned from the live.
Mhm.
We need to see who you are. So say I joined the live. Not only that, we want you to invite a friend. Let us know that you invited someone. Let us know that. Right? And there was one more thing I don't have in front of me, Sonia. What was it? It was 3 consecutive
Um,
lives. I think it was
Consecutive
comment.
live, answer the question in a segment. When we have the
Yes.
question,
Yes.
join in, tune in by
Yes.
answering the question,
Mm-hmm.
and invite a friend to our YouTube
Friends.
channel.
Invite a
My group
friend.
friends that you know that can benefit.
Yes. Please.
Absolutely.
Yes. Don't just invite anyone just to get the worksheet. Someone who can
Yeah,
benefit from
someone that
these.
can benefit, that needs
Absolutely.
this coaching. Absolutely.
Yeah. So let me go into next week's. Oh, we just so excited about
Yeah.
this 4-part series. We're on a roll with these 4-part series, right?
Mm-hmm.
So next week, let me go. I'm gonna go to I have it. Written down. Give me a second.
I know you're doing the singles.
Give me a second. Yes, and everybody knows next Wednesday is Valentine's Day. And yes, she's taking a life back. It still will still be on the air on Wednesday, 8 o'clock on Valentine's Day. But we're bringing to you this Valentine's Day Cupid Chronicle theme. So our next episode is going to be about actually two different topics.
Yes, we're gonna join them in.
Two different topics. Hold on for 1 second.
I think I'm
Um,
doing couples.
yeah. So, um, what we're gonna do? Hold on for a second, because I'm just scrolling, ladies. Do this. Give me 1 second. I want to make sure I give you the title correctly. All right. So, hold on a minute. 1 second. Here we go. All right. So next week topic, again, it's about two topics. We're talking about Sonia will be talking about love languages, because we all have our love languages. We have different ways we love to show love, and she's going to be talking in more detail about understanding and fulfilling each other's needs. Now, the little bit of sneak peek that I kind of got from Sonia when we talked about topics, this is going to be spicy. Sonia's going to share some stuff about how to keep the fires burning along with other stuff. So you want to stay tuned to that. And she's going to be sharing from the perspective if you're someone who's married or you have a partner that you're committed to. She's going to be talking about that, like how to fulfill each other's needs. We're not supposed to fulfill all the needs, but some of the needs we want to fulfill of our partner. She's going to share some of that. Yes. I'm going to be talking about, because I'm single, I'm going to be talking about, hold on, I'm going to tell you the deck topic. This is going to be good, y'all. The topic I will be talking about is rediscovering self-love, a guide to solo happiness. I want to share this because you know what? This is thing society puts on us. Like, we have to be in a relationship. And if you're not in a relationship, it's just, there's something wrong with that. Like, there's times like I'll meet somebody, say hi at a meeting or wherever I meet them. And they're like, oh, you don't have a man? Like, am I supposed to have one? Mm-hmm. And I understand that thinking, because I used to think that way years ago. But no, for me, it's like, over these last several years, I've learned to discover to love myself. You know what I mean? And, as a result of that, I don't feel pressed to get into a relationship. I learned how to be happy with me, because honestly, if you're not happy with you, you're not going to be happy with anybody else. So for those out there who are single, I want to share with you how to rediscover self-love, or how to discover it for the first time, how to live life and be happy in your singleness. This is going to be an awesome show. So stay tuned, ladies, with us. I want to explore some strategies and practices for women to cultivate self-love while you living single. And this is particularly for women who experience trauma. Because for some of us, that's a difficult thing to do. I know for me, I thought I didn't matter unless I was with somebody. So we're going to talk about that. So I want you to get ready for our special Valentine's show. This is part 2 of our 4-part series. Yes, again, Coach Sonia's going to guide us through a fascinating world of love languages, right? How to fill each other's needs.
Absolutely.
And we are going to have workbooks for sale attached to that. So if you want some ongoing work about relationships and loving yourself, stay tuned to next week and take advantage of the worksheets. As you can see, ever since what was it, since last month, we started really crafting worksheets, because we understood that, these talk shows, although we talk about great subjects, although we give great tips, we can't give you the full value of it. So we want to offer you worksheets, and it's not a high price, and you're getting a lot of value for someone who wants to take it further. And stay tuned, because coming soon, we have some other things coming up to really, really jump in and do the work on loving you, loving him, loving friends, loving yourself, getting to your next, breaking through self-sabotage, transforming your mindset. We're bringing in 2024, because we're keeping our goal. We're keeping our resolution here. She's taking a life back. And that is to make sure that we uplift women who experience trauma and share with them that they can transform their life and they can live their lives from a purposeful place and not from a place of fear. Right? Yeah. So join us next Wednesday.
Absolutely. February 14th. Do not miss up Cupid's Chronicles.
Yes.
February's Trauma Informed Chats.
All
Until
right,
next week,
ladies.
y'all have a good night and
Have a
always
good
stay
night.
trauma informed. Good night.
All right, Sonia, you have a good night.
Yes, ma'am. Good night, Mindset Coach.